Individual, which is another book that I heavily reference. And all these all these texts and all these symbols are just sort of pieces in the building of a free man and of a free person. And that's and all of that I just kind of talked about is I guess it's hard to talk about what gets you in the zone, but that would be, I think, a good kind of overarching summary of it.
Yeah, man, there's a lot to unpack there. Holy cow. For everybody listening, if you guys want to retweet this, I mean, I think just by the start of this, we're really going to get deep and go deep with this. So all of your people they deserve to listen to this dude. I want to go back real quick because really early on you said, like, you wanted to kind of master yourself. What kind of things in your life do you do that you consider mastering yourself or like moving in that direction?
Well, I was, 8 minutes late for this Spaces because I was in the gym lifting steel. That's really, I think that's like the core and most important component for any man is you just have to be working out. Like, we all have this voice inside of us that is attempting to destroy us. It's this like little whimpering, pathetic voice that gets in the way of almost everything. And in some areas of our life, we're able to easily defeat it because it's quieter. But then in other areas, it's quite loud, and it's the little comments from this voice that stop you from fulfilling a lot of your dreams or your visions. And I think that we'll never be able to get rid of that entirely, but for a man, being in the gym as close as physically possible to every single day helps to keep that voice quiet or reduce the volume of that voice and keep it out of the way. It's like I think it's the first principle in the codes of self-esteem are if you have to respect yourself, and if you don't have the ability to respect yourself, then that will come out that'll reveal itself in really horrible ways throughout your life. So that's like the most important one for me. The other ones, which are, if you just like go onto YouTube or anything, and like it's all the self-help categories really, but those videos, they do stuff, but it's actually like the videos can give you ideas or whatever, content, books or whatever, even talking to people, but it's really just the action at the end of the day that matters the most. And like if you can execute on getting into the gym, then you can pretty much execute on everything, because like the gym always sucks. It's always hard. It never gets easier. It's like if you're 6 months into working out every single day and you're still, it's going to take a lot of energy and effort and willpower to get in there and do it again. And I think that just builds like really strong habits. And then you can apply that same discipline to sort of everything else in your life. Like, I have this motto that I try to live by, which I wish I had all of my life, but unfortunately maturity is earned. You don't just have it. So which is just, I do not skip steps. And this I repeat to myself like every day, millions of times. Like, I do not skip steps. So in whatever it is that I'm working on, and like anything that's being created, it's like there's always like the human mind will drive you to try and cut corners and cut and make shortcuts and try to do things more efficiently, which can be if I know that no steps were skipped, then it's just, then I know that that's like, okay, that's the best. Like, I would have changed nothing. I would have done nothing differently, and I'll just apply the lessons I learned into the next work. So like, I don't know, like, this doesn't exist anymore in the fiat world, but like, I really just, in everything I've ever done, I just had like a natural instinctive will to just be better than everyone else at it. Like when I was younger, it was better than everyone else. And then as I got older and, you know, my life together more, it shifts to better than myself. And I'm just always trying to be better than I was. You know, yesterday is kind of hard, but I at least want to see like improvement month over month. And so that's like, that's really important, I think, to the creative process. And I think that that's what the art world is like completely missing right now. The creative world, because fiat causes creativity to no longer be valued. Creative acts are risks, and people don't want to take risks. Like when creative work meets a business environment, it's just like, it's very dangerous because everything's sort of unproven, and it's difficult to sort of merge the two. But if like, if I can just beat myself and the previous work I made, like that, I'm just so driven by that, and I think we need that. Like all this horrible artwork just gets created because like there's no competition anymore in it, because like the collectivist Marxist fucking parasites want people to look at like blank canvases or like scribbles on canvases selling for 15 million and be like, well, I could do that, so why is my work not selling for 15 million? And it's basically demoralizing. It's like, because you can't, and like there's no, whereas like in the past there was always like a climb to be the best, like mastery was the top level, and then above that was artistry, and it was like this journey. You started as an apprentice, you grew to a journeyman, you grew, you know, eventually you could maybe be a master. And it was like, in anything you wanted to do in your life, whatever you chose, it was like there's just a clear, just the way you succeeded. You could just choose your level of success by like just how well you mastered that craft. And fiat has obviously just completely destroyed that. um so yeah, I hope that answers something.
Wow, man. I hope everybody's taking notes over here because I'm definitely doing that. I'm just thinking now, don't skip steps. Like, how can I apply that in my life?
Yeah, I'll
You
just
know?
add on to that too. Another one that this I just recently got from a friend of mine, and who I've been working with on some stuff. And so like, don't skip steps, mission critical. And then the other one is like, if you're bored with whatever it is you're doing, it's because you're not trying. And so that, like, when I get hung up in steps that are maybe like, they're what I would like on a general look consider like the boring steps, I'm just like not trying hard enough at the in those moments. And so I try and like presently and consciously like bring more effort into it, and it's amazing how it just erases the boredom.
Yeah, all right. That's definitely seems like a way to level up every step, and even the mundane tasks that you think just are kind of repetitious or something. It kind of reminds me, I used to work for this kind of big name film composer, and he had this big sticker on his keyboard, and it said, "Don't fuck up." It really reminds me of that. Don't skip steps, you know, because they had like these really tight deadlines working on these big films, and
Yeah, that's a
I
great
took that with
sticker.
me.
I think I think I'm
Yeah,
gonna get that.
just don't fuck up. You got too much riding on our short time. But I don't think that means like, you know, don't fail with your artistic experimentations and stuff like that. It's
Yeah,
probably more
I
technical.
think it, to me, I
Um,
hear it as just show up. Just show up,
yeah, yeah,
you
right.
know, because once you're there,
That's
like, it, at least you got there. And it's like, if you fuck it all up, it's like, well, but you made it there. And, you know, you'll
yeah.
at least feel like the embarrassment of fucking it all up. And, you know, that'll help in the
So,
future.
man, going back to like working on your strength and building your body, and kind of tying that back to before when you were talking about the pain in society. It kind of reminded me that pain is like a stimulant, and people like yourself are finding inspiration from it, and I think that's really beautiful. And it also reminds me of, say, like Muay Thai kickboxers, how they like beat their shins with bamboo sticks and things
Yeah.
because it like hardens their
I was
bones. So
literally
it
just
seems like
doing that only moments ago.
nice. You're getting rock hard, man. You're gonna be indestructible. Um, yeah, it's important, right? It's the pain is making us stronger because we're like bearing the brunt of all the nonsense, and so yeah, I guess that that's the good and the bad of it. And don't be bored. I'm gonna definitely gonna remember that one also. Showing up. I wanted to ask you, as an artist who starts to, I don't know how to say the right word, but like commercialize, or not commercialize, but like monetize, like start to sell your art and start to kind of market yourself and start getting your work in front of like people's eyeballs. Like, what was that journey like for you to start from nothing?
Yeah, I mean it definitely has an effect, and I think it's made things harder. But now I'm kind of learning how to work with that. Um, I kind of relate like that in the art world. There are a lot of crossovers and similarity to music. So there's definitely like, if a musician makes an album and it's wildly successful, there's a huge amount of pressure for the follow up album, and that can be really difficult for the musician to work through. And I kind of noticed a similar effect on my work, like when it started getting a lot of recognition, it kind of just made things a little bit more difficult because I kind of went from just thinking entirely making for the sake of, I guess myself and the activity of doing it, to kind of suddenly being conscious of this other entity, which is the market. And I think like the biggest challenge I've gone through is just kind of trying to manage that. And especially like, I mean, art is just the hardest, worst business in the world. Like, I when time, like they say alcohol sales is a great business because when times are good, people are celebrating and drinking, and when times are bad, people are drowning their sorrows in alcohol. So alcohol always sells. Art, when times are bad, like the art is the highest luxury. It's the first thing that gets cut out of a budget in our fiat era. It's the first thing that is not is so far from a need. It is such like just a luxury application of life, and especially in this current pathetic form that artists have been reduced to, which is decorating drywall. Like, artists used to be a fundamental component of almost every project, that that everything that was built, everything that was made, everything that came together, like artists were a part of that. Like the engineers and architects weren't carving gargoyles when they built Notre Dame. But now we're in this fiat era where the purpose is to strip the soul out of everything, strip the soul from every human experience, every physical, like every product. Everything is just being like flat. Like the art is becoming white canvas, and like the buildings are becoming white rooms, white cubed rooms, like the outsides of these buildings. Like it's just everything's just fucking going completely to shit. And like it's difficult to operate like that. So I'm like just totally insane. Like I could apply myself in so many different ways if like money was my primary motivation. Um and like
Yeah, I wanted to
choosing
ask
to
about
create
that. Do you?
artwork, I feel like it's just I I I was had in whether it was set inside me from my family or whether it came from a higher place, I've just always known I would succeed to the maximum level with anything that I did, and I would work my ass off at it until I did. And art just seemed like I was naturally good at it, and then it really is like the most challenging business I could think of. Um, so yeah, so right now I'm like, okay, how do you sustain a business, because a business needs income obviously to survive. Like I have expenses every month that I have to pay, and I'm selling a product that like nobody really needs. So it's really like I'm figuring it out. And I don't really think there's a lot of good examples out there of anyone who's successfully done it before without the help of major galleries. So in the same way, most people don't know this, but the art world works very similar to the way record labels work, as in galleries and art dealers will sign artists. So an art dealer will find an artist whose work that he likes and will pay that artist, say, out of $500,000 for the year, and then the artist is on the hook to deliver X amount of paintings. So a lot of the like success stories and sort of things that I've studied are very fiat in that way, because like the artist didn't really have its own market and its own clientele before being discovered by a gallery or an art dealer. And these guys make a lot of money because they pay the artist 5%, and then they bank the 95% when they sell at the fancy gallery and on Wall Street or in Palm Springs or wherever. So it's what I've been really fortunate, thanks to Bitcoin, is that like Bitcoin really, it's a long ways away, but we're returning to free market fundamentals through Bitcoin, and I've just been fortunate enough to build patrons through it. And I guess there have been some other successful artists that sort of did it through like a medium of sport, for example. Like a lot of guys were able to really create a successful business with art by, say, attaching themselves to skateboarding. So they do all the designs for skateboard T-shirts and skateboards and whatever else. And so I've kind of been able to find a sort of similar success like that with Bitcoin. But I mean, the name of the game for me right now is that like I just that there's also like we all as Bitcoiners understand scarcity. Like I just can't mass produce my work because obviously it devalues it. Some artists that did this are like Salvador Dali. He made like millions of signed prints and all sorts of other stuff, and it really like you can have a signed and numbered Salvador Dali for like $1,000 today, versus like a Picasso, is more for a small Picasso. You're more in like the $15,000-$20,000 range. So I have to be aware of that now, like as I'm building, that I don't like flood the market with work. So the ideal thing is that I basically find like, say, 10 to 100 patrons, I guess, that are well funded from their own ventures and their own businesses, that see what I'm trying to accomplish with Madex and are willing to buy pieces from me that have been created, or buy pieces ahead of time, or sort of like transactions like that can kind of float the project, and then also give time for products in like the smaller, like the lower price points, like that $50 to $500 range to be made, because everything that's produced just takes time. Like I've been working on jewelry for a while, trying to pull that together, and I like thought it would be like 1 month before like I was going to be able to have physical product, and it's just like it's very challenging and it's very difficult to communicate in 3D with designers when you don't yourself know how to CAD in 3D. So now that's something that's coming up for me. I got to learn how to do that. But yeah, I guess I'm kind of just, I guess, speak powerful artistic work, like as scarce as possible. So that, like, when the brand really pops off, like 10 years from now, when Madex is like 100x the position minimum that it is currently, it's going to be a really, really critically important decision that I only produce, say, 10, 20 big original paintings per year versus, say, producing 100. And being able to kind of, but then I got to keep the business alive with cash flows. And so that's why I'm going to focus on doing this kind of jewelry stuff here over the next little bit. I got some commissions to wrap up, and then I'm pretty much going to be, I mean, also like we're in a bear market. So it's, I feel like everybody in Bitcoin, like even like the mega whales are feeling very broke right now. And, as I said earlier, art gets cut right away. So, you know, it's really interesting. It's not like anything else, like oil, where it's like, okay, well, doesn't really matter what's going on. I mean, like the oil, if you set your company right, it doesn't matter if the price of oil is low or high. Like people need oil every day. The world needs oil. Like the companies will always be able to stay operating because there's just constant demand. Whereas like my demand sort of kind of comes and goes. So I'm also going to have to like branch out of Bitcoin quite a bit and find sort of art buyers and collectors outside of the Bitcoin world. But the great news about that is that like if I can hit like I'd really like to get into selling some oil stuff, because I have done some really cool oil painting, like oil and gas related paintings. But then also like Madex brand, whatever, like the products and the artwork, like if I can make it cool outside of Bitcoin, then all of a sudden Madex becomes a ramp that is orange pilling people. Because like let's say I got like a collection of bull Bitcoin um, merchandise into like a skate shop. Like it's just all of a sudden you got all these people who are kind of discovering like bull Bitcoin, discovering Madex, and it's like from like a clothing brand that's cool. I think that's an amazing on ramp, and then kind of the art into other areas, and then the jewelry would be sweet. Like I definitely have some strategies in place right now where I'd like to just kind of get like Madex care packages out to like celebrities and like people who've got like some reach, and just I mean, like, I think that like all Bitcoin companies get lost in like, how do we onboard Bitcoiners? How do we like, and it's like, how do we get Bitcoiners to use our product? And how do we, it's like all the focus is on Bitcoin, like people who are already in Bitcoin. And I guess maybe because that's easiest, because it's more work to sort of like explain to somebody what Bitcoin is. It's easier to sell to them if they already get it. And I think that that's where like Madex really thrives, and like the Madex merch and the Bull Bitcoin merch, because it's cool outside of Bitcoin as well. And in whatever kind of areas that like I venture into, like I really want to get involved in like the four-wheeling scene where I'm at, and I've been dirt biking a lot, spending a lot of time there, and like just driving the focus into outside of Bitcoin. And I think if you have a product like, and that's why I think where most artists are failing currently that are like Bitcoin artists, is that there's like this major heavy crutch on the Bitcoin B. And like if you look at my work, like almost nothing is certainly not like centrally themed around the B, the Bitcoin logo. It's just like it's lame outside of the Bitcoin world. Like somebody who doesn't give a shit about Bitcoin looks at like a Bitcoin B piece of artwork, they're not going to care at all. It's like, oh, that's some weird Bitcoin thing. Like, whereas like what I'm hoping to achieve is just like stuff that is like visually impactful, that has energy in it, that like can reach out of our Bitcoin world and like connect with somebody who's not involved in Bitcoin. And they might even like the most awesome thing would be like if somebody started collecting Madex, and then like that brought them into Bitcoin, or maybe they don't even know. Maybe they buy something like of mine at a gallery somewhere, and then they like what I was saying when we started this space is like they Google some of the lines that are like lines out of like Bitcoin Standard or whatever, and then it kind of leads them down into the whole kind of Bitcoin world. But yeah, and I think all Bitcoin merch companies, all Bitcoin art, like anybody who's creating anything visual in Bitcoin should be thinking about that. Like, what does this look like to somebody who doesn't give a fuck about Bitcoin? And like, if the answer isn't like, it looks awesome, then like the product and or whatever it is you're making, like in my opinion, needs to be redesigned. It has to look and feel cool. It has to look and feel dangerous.
Yeah, well, you definitely bring that in there for me because I could tell when an artist is taking risks if I can feel scared. Like you make art scary again, you know, and so that's rad. Man, we got a bunch of new people in here, so I just want to say hi to everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening. And we have a live stream on Zapstream with a bunch of the art that we're talking about here, so you guys can log on to there and check it out. And it's zappable. So so that's pretty cool. We got some music on there too. I want to say why I'm bullish on Maddox, and I heard you say Maddox, but I like Maddox because that art is mad, man. And you can't tell me what to do. It's besides being scary, it just seems like you're in a really powerful place where you're definitely not going to be like co-opted by corporatism or putting your skills and style to any use that you don't see fit that will have your artistic imprint on the world. So I'm happy about that, man. Nice work.
Thank you.
How many hours a day do you think you are working on your pieces?
Well, like this is like the amazing thing about that anyone who's gone on a journey of entrepreneurship like eventually realizes it's like, you know, you don't want to work a regular job, so you're coming up with all these ideas, but then like what you end up building for yourself is a full-time job with overtime. And then not only that, it's like because it's yours and you built it, like you care about it very, very, very much. So like you can't even say fuck it and fuck off and like skip a day or like skip a couple hours or leave early. Like it's just I am permanently thinking about bull Bitcoin and permanently thinking about Madex. Like there's not a moment of my life that goes by that's not, even like when it's like off to the side somewhere, you know, it's still in the subconscious, like fully processing. So like I would say all my time. And there's a great story about Picasso. Some lady meets him on the street and asks him to draw on a napkin for her, and so he does, and then she's like, that's awesome, like I'll buy it, how much? And he says like $10,000 or whatever, and then she says, well, it only took you like 30 seconds to draw that, why is it worth $10,000? And Picasso's answer is like, no, it didn't take 30 seconds, it took my entire life. So like that's the answer. Like the time question, it's like the most, I really get that question a lot. And like the answer is like every waking breathing second of me is making this dream work, like making this vision work. And like I'm trying to switch entirely to saying vision because it's not like a dream. Like I feel like when I was younger, I had dreams about like doing stuff, but it's different. It's like I can hear like an echo in the darkness that is like calling me toward it, like, you know, maybe like a siren song or something. It's like this unexplainable force, and I'm just constantly on it. So like when you look at like a piece that I've made, like that's like every waking moment of my life basically, and led to that existing. um,
Hell yeah.
yeah.
How about this? Do you, when making art, are you doing that before or after you hit the gym?
Oh, well, it depends. Like, I mean, like, so I find that I work out a lot better at the end of the day. I know a lot of people like to do it first thing in the morning. Like, I've done both. I did like an entire year of first thing in the morning. And then I did a kind of another entire year of sort of switching it up, moving it around. Um, I think it kind of depends on like what else is going on, because I got like just sometimes the issue with like creating is that like I'll get hit with, oh my god, I have to make this immediately, and I just like, it doesn't matter where I am or what I'm doing, like I got to get to the studio or I got to get some tools in my hands and like get it out. Because you know it's not, I in a way I feel like the best stuff I make like afterwards, I can't really understand how it exists. And I kind of believe that it just doesn't really come from me in a way. and it's like I can make stuff in the meantime, but then that like inspiration strikes and I got to do whatever it is to kind of get it out. Um, and then also like I train like my partner that I work out with is like much bigger than me and much stronger than me, and I am always like I have to keep up or try my best to keep up, and that like usually exhausts me at the end of a session. So I'm usually like quite happy to at least take like a couple-hour nap or or go straight to bed because and heal. That's a benefit. Yeah, all, like training with another person, like training with a friend, is like massively beneficial for gym work because you're just pushing each other. And then in my case, I chose a friend who's much bigger and much stronger, and that like really pushes me past like any limits. But yeah, you
Hell
got
yeah.
it. Like anyone who I think we're all creative. Like as an artist, you get said the same things to you over and over again. Like I can't even draw a stick man is like one of the very common ones. And like we're all super creative, and it's like the creativity is just a tool. It's just a skill, sort of like anything else. And just the more you use it, and the more you practice, like wielding it, I would say, the easier it gets to kind of like force yourself into these creative states and like be ready to make stuff. But definitely whenever you feel like, I would say for anyone who's making, and this I think applies to everything, like not just art, but like even like writing code, like have your environment set up in a way that like as soon as you get that call, because I believe we all do get that kind of call from the outside world to make something. Have your environment set up so that it's easy as possible to like get that out. Like if it's writing, like get that written. Like have like a pen and paper in every room and get it written out. Like our brains are so retarded. We'll never, if we have a good idea, like a friend of mine once said something amazing, which was, he was like talking to a room full of people and he was like, you guys ever just have like a really, really amazing idea? You ever just have like, fuck, like that's just such a fucking good idea. And everyone's like, yeah, definitely, right? Like I'm sure everyone in the spaces has like had a really, really amazing idea once. And like the difference between you and people who are successful is they kind of just write it down. And I think that's massively important because our brains will
Oh yeah.
just not carry the information. And like every time you tell yourself, like, I'll remember that later, like it's a lie. Like fucking write it down on your phone, like type it up in your phone or write it down on notes or however you manage like your brain. But like you're not gonna
Yeah, I
remember
think I read
shit.
that
We're
in
like
Deep Work.
we're literally like goldfish, but we just like are sophisticated enough to trick ourselves into thinking we're not.
Yeah. Good for generating, bad for storing. Man, thanks for kind of, you said everybody's a creative person, and I think we can push some of the people in here to do something with that. If we want to give them like a specific creative challenge, or if anybody like, I want to pick up some of like art begets art, right? I would love to buy like a sticker packer or something from you to give to some of our guests here. So if anybody wants to like create anything, any type of art that you feel inspired to do, like this is a good chance to do it. Check out some of this guy's work and see if that inspires you, and then post something.
Yeah. Also, like
and then
it shouldn't be difficult. If it's difficult, it's probably because you're fucking scrolling your phone, and your brain would rather do that than like apply effort. Like this, like the phones, I've tweeted about it a bunch of times, and it's a joke, but it's not a joke. Like if anyone wants to get like some expression out of them, like just get rid of your phone for a while. Like put it in the. A friend of mine got me a bread box, and like when I really got to lock it down, I just stick this phone in this bread box. And maybe I should make that actually a little Faraday cage or something for Madex. That'd be sweet. But like, it's just
ooh,
like just unplug, because man, like I said, like we're all just so stupid. We'll just sit there on our fucking phones. We got like, imagine like the scale of human productivity that's been destroyed from the ability to look at tits on Instagram.
Massive. Just absolutely massive. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. I got a good bud that's a really good 3D artist. So if you have any questions or as you kind of delve into, you know, that kind of stuff, I'll hook you up with her. I think she's in here right now.
Yeah, I'm more looking for someone who can do CAD. Like not, I don't
Yeah,
actually
that's what
need
she does.
anybody. Like I'm doing like this stupid CAD course thing here, but like that's what I got to figure out.
Yeah. Yo, let's touch on some of the themes in your work because I wanted to do this space with you for a while, but just recently, since we actually locked it down, I like started doing some research. I went and watched V for Vendetta again. I hadn't seen it in a long time, and because I wanted to check out Guy Fawkes, I wanted to ask what Guy Fawkes symbolizes to you. What do you think about him, and different places that he shows up, and how he shows up into your work? And yeah, I don't know. That guy seemed like he trained. Like his ability for violence in that film was supreme. And I thought, oh man,
Yeah,
this dude's dialed.
Yeah, well, so like I'm really, my tie-in is V for Vendetta. I mean, it's pretty crystal clear. I think the crossover, like where how that lines up, especially now after the whole Koof situation, like it's 1-to-1 basically, right? And looks like we're about to go through it all again in some capacity. So like V, like the it's just, I think that like the V's mask and the Guy Fawkes mask got adopted by a lot. I think there's a lot of confusion around it because you'll see like you'll see like people at Antifa like fucking gatherings, whatever they want to call them, circle jerks, and they're like wearing the V mask and stuff, and it's just like you guys should be wearing like the red crosses with the stripes, like not the fucking V mask. Like you're wearing the wrong jersey, you know.
Ukraine flag.
But yeah, like fuck. But I think like the most important thing or most important concept from V for Vendetta is that like the idea cannot be killed. And I think that like that's where we're at with Bitcoin.
Yeah, he had a pretty good time preference too, right? He was like, meet back in a year.
And like I don't know how it's gonna go for us, but like one thing's for certain, like I think we got the best chance we've ever had of just like stopping this horrible shit that's fucking happening right now. Like just to stop. Like I used to, when I was like going through school, like I was thankfully my family was very, like be wary of the government. My mom grew up in Africa, so she was always telling me all sorts of crazy fucking stories about corruption and whatnot. And then and my dad was an entrepreneur and always very skeptical, and like so I had like a pretty good basis then. And the school I went to was like just starting to be, I think it was one of the later ones, just starting to switch entirely to all the fucking socialist propaganda. But I remember at the time, like when you're young, you have a heart and you care so much about other people, and you really you care about the guy behind you, and as you grow you do too. But like that's what the whole fucking collectivism plays off of. The socialism plays off of that love that I think we just kind of naturally have, that kindness, and it's it's really insidious. And like I at that time I like understood sort of the both sides of it, and I cared about helping people, but then I also like cared about building stuff and get being free of regulatory constraints. And I never really understood like why there were all these instances in history where like like friend in Chile throwing socialists out of helicopters and stuff like that, and all the other instances of like these people just being killed that were bringing these ideas. And I never really got that. And then like coming into, I guess, like the journey of eventually, like now I would fully consider myself an economist. And I think once you've been in Bitcoin long enough, you really become an economist. And I definitely get it right now. Like I get why there's been so many efforts with, like, maybe not for the better, but like using violence towards these sort of ideas. Like this, it is straight up immoral in every measurable way. It's theft in every measurable way. It is like they can dress it up in whatever fancy and heartstring pulling words that they want to, but like these systems that are coming into place are these are wealth extraction systems. Like the state produces nothing. It cannot give anybody anything. It has to take, it has to steal. And these are individuals who are demanding this. Like I saw somebody from Canada, because Canada has all this insane stuff happening right now. Like the absolute, like if they write a fucking story about like how countries can commit suicide the fastest, like Canada is like the full blown case of it. Um and uh, like
I always wince when I meet a Canadian person.
yeah.
They're like, "Oh, I'm from Canada." I said,
So this
"Oh,
person
I'm sorry."
posts a list of like all the stuff that, like, if and to people who think voting matters, oh my god, now we're kind of getting all over the place here. But like this list was hilarious. They're like, if you don't vote for Trudeau again, then that means you're saying no to universal health care, affordable child care, environmental protection, affordable higher education, reliable CPP and EI, um, what else? Quality public education, sensible gun control, reproductive rights of LGBTQ, and I just like this whole list was so hilarious to me because it was like these are exactly all the things we need to fucking get have freedom from. Like anytime the government tries to fucking intervene and do anything, it just the results are disastrous. And we've had 100 years of this, and it's still ongoing. But anyways, the point, I guess, now I'm all over the place, so we can fucking package it back up. Is that like Bitcoin is the first chance that we have of like really uniting people, regardless of any measurable characteristic about them, any characteristic at all about them. I mean, we see that right now, just all of us looking across the world, and like the Bitcoin conferences across the world, the Bitcoin meetups across the world, the resources available in multiple languages. Like this is the first thing we've ever had that is meaningfully and hopefully eventually in like a way that we can act on and actually have some success with, but it's really uniting us, um which is pretty amazing, and all as a result of our individual incentives, our individual desires. And so that's, I guess, the tie-in, the primary. Like I could talk a lot about the vendetta stuff, but that's the primary tie-in for me. Is it's basically that mask is getting shipped in the context of V is getting shipped everywhere, and it's just this, these 12 words, and that's like your anonymous mask. And we're it's a crack in this giant fucking Goliath Marxist dragon that we're all fighting. I don't know what it is, but
yeah, man. I noticed some other kind of themes. I see a lot of weapons. Sometimes some rifles and some swords. Do you train in combat?
well, I think everybody should. Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah,
Agreed.
like I do Muay Thai fighting in the gym that I work out at. And then it's lame, but I played a lot of airsoft. And it's like I haven't done, like, one thing I'd really love to do is do like proper training. I've done like some courses in the States before. Like I went down to Texas and did some sessions down there. And then I did martial arts when I was younger. And it's really critically important. Like if you're not able to trust yourself with the defense of your own person, and also your family, or whoever you are around that you care about, then you're outsourcing that to somebody else. And then, it's that who will watch the watchers thing. And we all know that like the cops don't show up ever. So, what are you going to do? So yeah, I think it's important that everybody like does at least something. You don't have to take it too seriously, but you should at least have survival basics down. If you're in the city, you should have a contingency plan to get the hell out of the city with whatever resources you need. In a short amount of time, especially in the United States, with the way that whole country's completely falling apart. So yeah,
I just can't think of a single reason to live in a city.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, like the main thing for me, I guess, prior was when I was like wanted to meet somebody, but then city's not really a great place to look. But I mean, it's easier to fuck off and move to the country if you have a girlfriend. It's definitely more of a challenge if you're on your own. I mean, I don't know. Go to your like neighborhood community church or something. That would be good. But like that I think is a barrier for a lot of people. Otherwise, the city, like I lived in a major city for quite a long time, and then I moved out of it, and I grew up outside of the city. And then since I moved out, it's so hilarious. Just instantaneously, like I hate coming into it. It's just so, like, just you can just see like the fucking ceiling is collapsing, and it's all fucking blown apart. And in like I think in the United States, like the central areas are pretty good, and it's like the coastal cities that have a lot of problems. In Canada, it's every single fucking city is like totally imploding. We don't really have any cities that are free of, I guess because we're a smaller population, it was easier to kind of push all of these ridiculous things on us. But
well, man, we've been cooking for about an hour now. I'd like to say hi to some of the other folks that are in here. If anybody wants to come up and say what's up, like send up a request and you can come on up here. I see some fairly familiar faces. And yeah, I just want to say, like, you've definitely inspired me. Like when I found your art, I actually took apart a let's see, it wasn't an S9. Now I'm thinking I kind of just want to send it to you. Maybe you could do something with it. Yeah, I don't see any hands going up. I think I'm gonna stop the stream for the art gallery. But if anybody check that out, like give a shout out to Zapstream because they've created a really cool streaming platform here. It costs like 21 sats per minute to stream to it. People can zap you, no ads, nothing like that. So this is one of the ways I think Bitcoin help clarify lines of information. You don't have to deal with any type of algorithm or anything like that. Zap.stream, it's pretty good. You just stream to it from like OBS, or you can do it from your phone. And Nifty bruh, are you there? Yeah, I'm gonna close the stream now, the Zap stream. But it's there, so if anybody wants to go back and relook at it. All right, we got one speaker. How's it going? Nifty bruh, you there? Hey, here's Zenza. Let's get her on here too. Yeah, Zenza's an artist also. She makes all kinds of great 3D work. Oh, actually, I got a question for you. Madex, you still there?
yeah.
You avoided NFT land with your art when it kind of consumed a lot of artists. That was easy for you? You saw through it, or what was that like?
Yeah. Well, that was easy for me because like I just understand Bitcoin. So, and I was there for the whole history of Ethereum, so I knew exactly what was happening. But to understand the whole NFT craze is basically like the crypto scammers maxed out their abilities with the mark of corporations. So the first round, which was, you know, the whole ICO craze and explosion, was like crypto scammers taking advantage of naive businesses, not wanting to miss out on opportunities, and pitching them on kind of the future and the exciting and all the, you know, the long list of buzzwords that anyone who is back around in that ICO time will remember. You know, we saw all kinds of headlines, and basically just the corporations were the mark. So the scams were able to piggyback off the corporations' brands to kind of give their projects perceived credibility. And then, you know, we saw how all that played out. And then it was really genius kind of round two of that, where now, like, we've pretty much maxed out our ability with the corporations. They're not really wanting to fuck around, or, you know, they're beating down a lot of these claims that we're making. So we got to change our mark. And so, just unfortunately, next up was artists, and you know, and artists were just taken advantage of in the exact same way, and, you know, sold the story of being a part of something that's going to be, you know, it's the future, it's this, it's whatever, right? So just it's just a rinse and repeat. I'd seen it all before, and like it's very. I know that, like, I know that artists are not like, for the most part, like, were that did do create NFTs were just, you know, do it like, as an artist you have like nothing available to you, like, really, like the starving artist stereotype is 100% true for the majority. And, you know, any opportunity to have another stream of income, or to have something that can help you continue to produce, it is welcomed for certain, and is a blessing. And I just didn't I was fighting it in the beginning, and I just kind of realized, well, I went and looked through like some of these marketplaces, and it was really cool just to see everything that was being made, and it did like push a lot of creativity, but sort of you know, at the end of it all, like, people ended up with worthless NFTs. And you know, like, hopefully some artists made money, you know, a lot maybe didn't, I don't really know. But yeah, it just wasn't like, my ethics and morals didn't allow me to participate in it. But, you know, I have like no knock to anyone that did. And, you know, like, I've bought art from artists who did do NFT stuff, and but it just doesn't fit with like, you know, like, I'm fortunate enough, like, that, you know, I have bull Bitcoin, I have like my history of work before kind of getting into the Bitcoin art world, like a history of shows and work. And I've been selling art for like pretty well 12 years now, 10 years as Madex. And so I, like, my name is my name, and I just don't really, I felt like I had a lot more to lose by participating than to gain. And also, I just can't I'd never be able to sell somebody something that I know is worthless. Um and yeah, is I think it's a painful time for the art world, and I think it really sucks. And then, like, I mean, it's difficult unless you like, if you don't have like a technical understanding of Bitcoin, or like a good understanding of incentives, or like all the factors that sort of, I guess, would make someone a Bitcoiner. Like, it's really easy to believe their bullshit. And, like, you know, artists are all hopefuls, we're all romantics, and we're all, you know, we have a lot of feeling, and we really, I think, for the most part, want to believe in a better world. And I think that the crypto scammers just really capitalized on that. Like, so they were able to pair their bullshit token brands with, you know, the names of like established musicians, established creators, established designers, you know. And it's yeah, it's sad.
Well, I think it's going to get better for the art world. You know, everything moves in oscillations. Yeah, up and down. I think it's going to come back up.
Yeah. I mean, the best thing that happened is a lot of content got produced. Whether it's any good or not, I think that's just open. That's up to, like, I have a gallery on my phone of just JPEG, like, right click saved NFTs that I thought were awesome. Definitely gonna get them printed someday. Not gonna buy the shitty tokens, but if the artist released them as like a physical print with their signature on it, I'd probably buy that.
Yeah, I wonder if somebody in here is going to buy one of your pieces. Speaking of, I wanted to give away some discount codes for our online shop. If anybody wants like some simple Bitcoin logo swag, just send me a message and I'll hook you up with some discount codes. And I wanted to get a sticker. Wait, do you have stickers? Do you make stickers?
Yeah, I should have an order coming in pretty soon here, so I can ship you some.
Yeah. I'll buy some stickers from you, and I want to give them to some of our folks in here. So anybody that's in here, send me a message and or a comment or something, and then we'll like give you some discount codes and some stickers of some of this cool Madex shit. Anybody else have some questions? We got 2 speakers up here. You guys got any questions about how to make more art? Yo, what's up?
Hey.
How's it going?
Hey, Madex. Absolutely huge fan of your work since I had first been introduced, and love everything you're sharing. I just wanted to a couple of things actually stood out from what you're sharing, but going back to the beginning of your guys' discussion, you were saying that, in terms of like improving, you'd like to see like improvement at least like every month. And I was wondering like how you measure that and in what ways, and like what that applies to, if you're just looking in certain like areas or aspects, like if it pertains to your art or fitness, like how you measure it. And then also just curious about the steps, because you were really emphasizing that, and I'm just curious what that looks like, because as an artist, and especially recently, like working with a team of artists, I've seen that come up a lot. Because handing things off to others who are also going to be working on a piece and collaborating on something, it's really important to not skip something and have them have to clean something up, or be way down the line and have to go back a few months of work and fix something up. So I'm just curious what that looks like for you, if you have like a set of steps, or if it changes, or if it's just something like that intuitively. Yeah, so many things.
Yeah, on the steps thing, I guess, like, for every action, it's going to be different steps. But like the major one, like, I think the glue for it all is just patience, and like really respecting that things take time. And we're all conditioned and trained with this fast, like, if the web page doesn't load within zero point 0.2 seconds, like, I'm already looking for a different web page. Like, we're all, and with social media fucking up our brains, like, we're all just on this like short, quick rewards sort of, but like nothing in reality works like that. There's no parallel. So like patience, and like really like just like breathe and just feel the seconds fall away, and like take the time to do whatever it is, and don't get impatient with it. I think that that's critical with projects being passed off to other people. um like, I guess whoever you're passing it off to has to really care about it as much as you do, um, or you're not going to see the results you want unless there's crystal clear instruction. um, and like, I find that like super geniuses, and like when you really understand like the work you do, it's like you can give instructions that just don't translate. They see, so it's a skill in itself, is to like learn how to describe what you want done to somebody so that they'll do it the way you want it. And again, the most critical component of that is just patience, and like just slow everything down, because like 1 minute can disappear, or if you just stop and feel it go by, it feels like forever. So if you just kind of bring that time processing into everything you do and just relax and like understand that you have time and it's okay, I think that's massive for getting things done properly. Like an example I had recently, I went to this event in the desert where you have to bring all your own stuff and you have to set it up, and then you're out there for a while, and you're not dependent on anybody if you choose not to be. And so I had to pack for this whole thing, and like I really felt the process on like the day before I was leaving. I had like this truck tent that has like a million bolts. It's not designed to be like set up and or taken down and set up over and over again. It's very difficult to put together. And it was late at night, and I had a headlamp on, and it was the last thing I needed to pack. And I kept on like just there were just like if I didn't mark the bolts in the right places when I was taking it apart, then I knew I was just creating a world of pain for myself on the other end. So it was like I could save time packing it up now, and then but there's no actual time saved, because although I spent less time packing it up, I'm gonna have that time when I'm reassembling it again. Like I there's no time saved. The time is just moved. So I have like a 25% on one end and 75% on the other end. When if I just do it fucking properly, then I'm gonna have 50% on one end, 50% on the other end. So like taping up the bolts and stuff so they didn't rattle away when they were strapped to the roof rack, and like taping each one, and like writing with a Sharpie where each piece went, and just like so the whole process like took a long time. But when I got to this place where I was camping, I was able to set it up very quickly. It only took me about you know maybe an hour to get the entire thing, like probably less, maybe like 30 minutes or so to get the entire thing built. Had I skipped any of those steps, it just would have been quite the time. So I think about that like on everything that I'm working on. I just know that like you'll just like there's just no way to get out of the time that stuff takes. So either I'm gonna pay the time that's due now, or I'm gonna pay it later. So I like to think like, okay, I want to like be a friend to my future self, and I want to respect my past self. So for every decision I'm making, I'm kind of like always thinking a little bit into the future, being like, okay, how excited am I gonna be with my past self, when the other end of this comes out. And then also, like, I don't know exactly what your situation is working with a team, but recently I've started like trying to work together with a team, and like 100%, like what's really important is to just like cut like feelings out of it. And like you just like if somebody does a poor job thing, you just tell them to redo it. Do it again. And it doesn't need like a story, or like you don't like you can be polite about it, is as simple as that. And then like I guess like I don't know if you have staff or what exactly you're talking about, but it's like if somebody's got to start over again and do something entire, like they're just gonna figure out not to take the shortcuts, because you're just gonna make them redo it anyways. Um, yeah, and then what was the first thing that you asked again? Oh,
Yeah.
the measurements, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then with measurements, like with the gym, it's really simple. I just have one of those stupid watches that fucking tracks all your stuff. And like that's like number and datas, and I guess it means something, but I really just measure it with how I feel. Like how I know I'm doing well when like I can wake up fast in the morning and I can get moving fast, and I know I'm not doing well when I'm waking up and it's hard. And then like the gym stuff is just numbers. And then with I guess like with the arts and stuff, you just measure you it's just measured on like your judgment of like your previous project. So if it's like if I'm painting, like painting a girl, I'm going to look at the one that was done last month, or creating one of these things. I'm going to look at the previous one that was done and the new one. And like, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure the new one is better, or in a way that's meaningful to me, whether that's like better in the ability to communicate the message that I want, or just better in kind of detail. So I guess the measurements are kind of just, you got to figure out what matters to you, and then like kind of peg that and work with that. But like, and definitely just like, I journal quite fairly often, or at least like I do like photo journals and stuff, and just have like moments, like some days on my hardest days, like when I'm really like, it's, which there happen more often in bear markets, less often in bulls, but like I just go back and look at photos of me working on Madex in 2013 and like 2015. I go back and look at like photos of the very first art show I ever did that nobody showed up to and nobody cared. Like it's stuff like that is really motivating. And then also like, because I'm like extremely hard on myself in terms of performance, and just like trying to grow to the next level, looking at those old like photos from the past, or from sometimes it's only 6 months ago or whatever, that like gives me a little bit of space where I can kind of enjoy like 2 or 3 minutes of like, oh, I have like a real like poor look on the work that I make while I'm working on it, and then afterwards, it's only what I can't appreciate the stuff I make until I've forgotten, or like kind of gray area, like don't really remember making it, and then like the really good stuff, like I don't even know how I did it, like I can't even really explain it. But anyway, I hope that helps.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks.
Yeah, I got a question just thinking about that. Like, we know what to do to feel good, but we also want to, watch out for the landmines. Like, what really fucks you up off your routine?
Well, I can, like, right now I'm pretty on point. So like not much, but I can tell
Nice.
you in the past, the most harmful event to my routine and to my life was definitely alcohol, and um, the kind of people in your life that like that's what that's like what their life is. Um, like a hangover will just fucking ruin your life for 6 months. Like just one hangover. You might think you've healed, but it's not. It'll take like 6 months for the body to recover. So like booze really got in the way for a period of my life. And then also like this I've been shedding off for like a while. I was pretty good at it, but not really excellent in it. Is that like you may just like have friends that you like a lot. I think anyone who's trying to do something that's meaningful, like trying to become somebody, can relate to this. And it's just like little, like I was talking earlier in the spaces about that like little voice in your head that you got to just like try and get that to shut up. And like there's just people in your life that will just give that voice fuel. And I just don't have the time or patience for that at all. Um, any 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 person that's in my life circle, if you want to be immediately ejected, like Grim Trigger style ejected, just make some snarky, shitty comment about Madex. Like you're fucking gone forever. Like, it's hard enough for me to do what I do with support, with support from people around me. So I have zero patience for anything like that. And I think that, like, a lot of people spend too much time with people who are just unhealthy for their goals. And like, just don't be afraid to cut those people out and get rid of them. Like, your life will just like improve so much. um you need a circle of support around you to achieve even the simplest things. So if you're trying to do something really fucking difficult, like, zero tolerance for that kind of negativity. And also, like, I'm obviously aware that there's like constructive criticism that I can tell the difference. um but it's like the snarky stuff that's like zero. And like, as Bitcoiners, we all experience so much of that because we're constantly talking about Bitcoin, pitching Bitcoin. And like, I'm sure everyone can relate in this chat, like, being a Bitcoiner, or the spaces being a Bitcoiner, that like you just get fucking shit on and made fun of people. Like, you know in the end, we win. And like, if you just don't let any of that fucking interfere with your routines, like, you'll just crush it. Like, it's just, yeah. Anyway. I think of
Love
anything
it.
else.
No, that was way deeper than like kind of what initiated the question, but it's great. Like, break free from any type of that sludge that's holding you down, even if it's other people. Perfect. Like, best things we could do. Man, I think we should wrap it up now.
Cool. Can I ask one more question?
Oh,
I'm just curious.
It's funny because right when I said that, I still had another question too.
Yeah,
Go for it.
I got time, guys. So if we want to talk until there's no one left in here, like, I'm down to do that. So.
Nice. I was just wondering, I like sort of heard you touch on CAD, and I was wondering like what exactly you were looking to do with that out of curiosity.
I've got all these like very poorly drawn like jewelry designs that I'm trying to get turned into nice models, so I can communicate with the makers what to make, basically.
Nice.
And like, I had one friend try to do it, and like, when I got back, I was like, oh fuck, I have to do this myself, which is maybe like one of my flaws. Maybe I do too much stuff myself. I should, like, I really would like to get better at delegation. But I'm finding that, like, there's just, in 3-dimensional design, there's just so much. And like, I'm like so picky with this stuff, like adjusting a thickness. Like, I literally, like, for example, like the thickness of a ring, like, I'd send it back like 6 times, being like, no, too thin, too thick, too thin, too thick. So I just got to learn how to do it myself.
Man. Sometimes that's okay too, to send it back a ton of times.
Yeah, you should send him some of the stuff you've been working on in a private message or something. See what he thinks.
Yeah, it's funny. I just like recently had to make some like necklace plates, and some of them with like Bitcoin and like with little gemstones on them. So it's just the whole jewelry thing. I was looking to, I don't know, we might get them like 3D printed. I don't know what's gonna happen with them in time, but I'd be curious down the line to see.
Hell yeah. Well, what I'm guessing is he's probably making some brass knuckles, like some little like dope ass little V's on there.
Yeah.
I mean, I would wear those. I gotta get something, man. I need something. I need some Matex art, like, in my physical world. It's got to come off the screen. So be expecting me.
Hell yeah.
Are we going to see any type of gallery? Do you ever do anything like that where you're going to like maybe show a bunch of stuff at one of these conferences?
Well, the issue is that, like, I'm not going to do it in a bear market for certain, because it's logistically difficult to move. And like, all my work is big right now. Like, all the new stuff I've been working on, like all the really impressive stuff, is quite big. So it's logistically difficult to like crate it, ship it to a city, rent a car in the city, pick it up. Like there's all these kind of moving steps, and I'm not really interested in doing that unless I know that like the majority of it is going to sell. Because then if nothing sells, I gotta cart it all back. But it's something I'd want to do like eventually. I don't know. But like that's why I really love like the little boards I've been doing, because I've just been able to like throw them in a suitcase or throw them in my backpack, and they're kind of like, I don't know, like playing card collectibles in a way. But like the closest thing I got to a gallery coming together at the moment is Bitcoin Park in Nashville. I'm very grateful that the founders there have pretty much given me, yeah, they've asked me to do whatever I want there. So I'm the like next batches of works, because it's a bear market, so nobody's buying anything. Like I'm basically just gonna crate everything up and ship it to Bitcoin Park, and it's gonna be there for a while, and I'll just like cycle it out eventually as like stuff sells, or even just to kind of keep it fresh. So as far as the Madex gallery goes, by the end of this year, the closest thing to that will be Bitcoin Park in Nashville.
Oh yeah, dude, it's badass. It's exactly what I was thinking would be perfect, and I'm definitely gonna go check that out. Yeah. Man, I think I gotta run. I'm watching the sun go down. I wanna go out there and catch some of that before the evening comes. But yeah, shoot, man, we were rocking for almost 2 hours. I really appreciate that, and it's really cool to meet you and learn more about you and everything. I hope one day we could like, chop up some steaks and cook them over a fire or something.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, you come to where I am in Alberta, and you'll have the best steak. I'll ruin restaurant steaks for you for eternity. You'll never be able to eat steak at a restaurant again. Even a Michelin star, you'll be like, this is dog food.
Dude, restaurants are such a scam for the most part. I just don't go anymore.
I've seen your steak posts about like becoming friends with farmers, and I'm just like, wow, you post great looking steaks.
Yeah, and he makes butcher blocks too, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen those?
Yeah.
Those are badass, man.
And then like some people were complaining about the glue and stuff, so I got some like regular cutting boards coming out as well that aren't end grain. And they're a lot cheaper too. Like, man, the wood blocks are like pretty fucking expensive. So I just like those the best because they preserve your knives. That's like the main reason to use an end grain block, is because like you're cutting with the grain of the wood, so the knife lasts longer. So I'd rather spend more money on a cutting board and have to sharpen my knives less.
So
if you have a bamboo cutting board right now, just burn it.
Oh no shit, huh?
Yeah, just burn it and like go get like a 2x4 would be better. Like,
what I noticed is that the designs are on the bottom. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the top is like a regular is a cutting board surface with a blood trough, and then there's little rubber feet on the bottom, so that the design on the bottom isn't like rubbing on the counter. And then you flip it over, and there's the design on the bottom. The ones I put out so far have not been painted, but I had one that I did for a client where I painted it, and it looked pretty awesome. So I think I'm gonna do a couple that are painted. The only thing is like they're painted by hand. They take forever. It just makes them more expensive, and I don't know. But yeah, so the idea is that like you put the cutting board down, you cut up your meat on it, and then you clean it, and then you like lean it up, against your backsplash, and it's like a piece of art in the kitchen, functional art. I can say right now, I have knives coming that I'm really, really, really excited about. I found a guy who is a blacksmith, and he does everything by hand, and we drew up some knives, and so we're gonna have some Madex knives pretty soon here, out of like this very black Damascus steel. And so those will be able to go with the cutting boards. So cutting board and knife. Awesome.
You kind of just blew my mind with that. I'm picturing, what I see on the paintings, like on a knife. Holy shit. I need one of those. But I want it in axe form. Can you make a really big one like that?
Yeah. Can do axes. Sick. For sure.
Anything
that can take the life of a communist, I'm willing to make, especially with my brand on it.
How about information? That'll do it. Man, so yeah, see you in Nashville, and we'll find some steaks, and then see you in Canada, Alberta. I'm signing off, you
sounds good,
guys.
man. Thank you very much for inviting me on.
Dude,
just before we go, I'll just say these couple things. If you're Canadian or you know someone who lives in Canada, Bull Bitcoin is the only option that makes sense. And I don't really have to explain why. Just anyone who uses our platform will understand within the first experience of using it. I'm gonna be talking a lot over the next little bit. I'm trying to get a bunch of content together to do some print media stuff. So if anyone's got podcasts or knows somebody with a podcast or more spaces like this, I really love doing this because I guess as an artist, I spend the majority of my time like cooped up in my own brain, talking to my own multiple personalities. And so it's a lot better to just like share this out with anybody. So links, I'm open to doing any sort of recording stuff. And yeah, those are the two things. So Bull Bitcoin in Canada and for Canadians currently. And it's also just launched in Costa Rica. I don't know if anyone, probably you guys have already heard the news. And yeah, that's, and you guys know where to find me, madex.art and on Twitter. And yeah,
come on, everybody. Let's see some applause hands. Give it up for our special Bitcoin artist, man. This guy's been kicking ass for a long time. We really got to celebrate him and hold him up and share him with our people. So like, grab some art off his website and tag him, post it. Like, we want to see this stuff get around. It's really powerful work.
Thank you. And if you guys are on Nostr, you can use, but you have to be on Nostr or create a Nostr account. You can use Nostr for a code on the site too, as a code on the Madex site.
I will do that. All right, you guys have a beautiful night, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Okay. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it. Bye.